Hello there, my beautiful Leo signs. This is Rachel with Dark Knight Coaching. So today's tarot reading is a traditional Celtic cross spread where I pull about 10 cards for you roughly, and then I pull a bunch of oracle cards for you as well, Leo. So when I was tapping into your energy, I do that through music. That's kind of my form of meditation that really helps me get connected. The song that I was guided to listen to was The End of the World by Skeeter Davis. It's an old classic. Like, I haven't heard that one in a very, very long time, but I do feel like for some of you that's going to be a relevant message in there. I am getting some third-party energy in here because that's kind of what the cards have shown me as I've worked through your energy during my meditation. Now, there's a lot about heartbreak and a lot about love and a lot about just like healing the pains of some sort of injustice. This might have been a karmic relationship you were stuck in. And when we're stuck in karmic relationships, it's because we're in this cycle of repeat and we don't really have the clarity or the emotional capacity to understand or see someone for who they truly are. We kind of typically see someone for who we want them to be. And a lot of the times you might be stuck in a karmic relationship if someone's really good at manipulating or gaslighting or future faking. And sometimes that's like even yourself. Maybe you're good at manipulating yourself into believing like this person, didn't really mean to do that. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt me. Maybe they didn't mean to, fall for someone, fall for a coworker, or flirt with that person, or we kind of some of us can justify someone else's behaviors or actions, thinking we're coming from a place of unconditional love, when really it's just a lack of self-respect and a lack of self-worth. And that's hard to learn, or to fully understand when we're trying to come at someone with positive and pure intentions. And having the clarity or the truth come to light can be a rude awakening. And I do feel like that's what's happening for a lot of you right now, Leo. So, if you're in a happy relationship, then obviously this message isn't going to resonate for you. So keep that in mind as I go through this reading. But for a lot of you, I do feel like it is demolishing an old way of life, an old mindset, an old part of you, and building up something new that's going to bring a lot of positivity. But right now you're just in this state of like, woe is me, and how am I going to ever get through this? How am I going to use this pain to move forward? And that's a good question, and sometimes that's very hard to do. But obviously you're here watching this tarot reading or video for a reason, and you're probably very empathic, because usually narcissistic type of people, or those with more so narcissistic leaning personality traits, don't typically watch self-help videos. And that's kind of how I view tarot and oracle cards, as a self-help aspect or a form of divination. So we all have narcissistic and empathic tendencies. It's kind of tied to your solar plexus chakra. That's kind of how I view it. It's like our free will of like, are we going to empathize with another, or are we going to perpetuate the pain that we've experienced? And that's the opposite ends of the spectrum: narcissism, empathy. Now, in order to function in this 3D landscape that sometimes is very brutal, we have to embody both of those things in an equal manner. And that is when you're really in alignment. It's when you have just the right amount of empathy and you have just the right amount of narcissism that allows you to basically have, what's the word for it? It basically allows you to preserve your sense of self. And that's kind of also the balancing of the yin and the yang. But for your solar plexus, which is a very important chakra, that's like right below your heart space, that is very vital to have a fine harmony of empathy and narcissism. So it's like the fine line of like good and evil, essentially. Now, I'm done ranting, so let's get into this tarot because it's very interesting. So the first card right away kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, but the more I sat with your energy, the more I kind of understood. So some of you have been asking for like clarity or some sort of wish that you wanted to be granted. Like maybe you just wanted a relationship to be over and you needed that little, proof, like a little bit of proof to push you over the edge. So it's like maybe you were asking for clarity, or like not understanding fully a person or their intentions. And with the wish granted here, I do feel like you got what you wanted with the Nine of Cups energy here, Leo, but it's not, it's like a bittersweet gift, because the challenge right now is the Tower. And when the Tower comes in over this wish granted, it's like, well, that's not what I expected, even though it's kind of what you asked for. So it's like I can't really think of a good analogy. It's like waiting for a perfect present all year, and then like they just missed the mark. You know what I mean? So it's like you asked for this one thing, you asked for this, you explained it, you thought you explained it very thoroughly, and then they actually bought you something that was not quite what you were expecting, but they took it literally instead of like taking it in the way that you tried to present it. And it kind of maybe left this like bitter taste in your mouth, because it's like you thought you had explained it thoroughly, and then at the end of the day you're kind of like, well, why didn't I just go get this for myself, because I thought you understood where I was coming from. And sometimes that's like, it can make you feel invalidated, because maybe you didn't feel heard or didn't feel seen, and that can trigger some sort of emotional response as well. But for a lot of you, I feel like it's like you had clarity about a situation where someone was using like escapist behaviors and maybe having some sort of emotional affair, if not a physical one, because that's kind of what's coming up next in the cards. So the foundation of all of this is the Seven of Swords. So maybe you were having some sort of runaway type of behavior, escapist behavior, distractions, trying to distract from your pain. That's kind of what I view the Seven of Swords as. But in the past, there's a Three of Pentacles. Whenever I see a 3 in some sort of like energy that I feel is a love type of reading, I view this as like third party situation. So for some of you that there is no third party, this can just be community or leaning into your friendships very heavily, or has something to do with a conflict amongst friends. But for most of you, I do feel like this has to do with like having clarity about a third party, and that can be the Tower moment. It's just like the death of the breakdown of something, and there is a loss here for sure. And there's a lot of mental conflict, because the Five of Swords shows up in your subconscious energy, which is like mentally you're having a hard time right now. But also remember that as long as your heart is lighter than a feather, we all have our judgment day, and as long as you've had good and pure intentions, then you're fine. And I do feel like whoever this person is that's in your energy, that's maybe been deceitful or dishonest, or both, it's going to come back and bite them pretty hard. And it may not be in this lifetime, it could be in the next, but the Justice card is here. So Libra energy, this could be in Libra season, when maybe you're going to see some karma come out and play. But again, as long as you've had good and positive and pure intentions, then you're covered here, Leo. So the next card I have for you in the near future, what you're working on, is the Alchemist card. This is beautiful, beautiful energy. It's hard energy. It's not easy, and it's not only hard energy, it's heart energy as well. So it is a culmination of healing the heartbreak, transmuting the pain, understanding that, when someone betrays you or lies to you or is deceitful and manipulative, or uses their trauma as a justification for how they treated you, or some people will play the victim and play the martyr, and they will use that as a foundation to alleviate their shame and their guilt and things like that. And when they're doing that, it's like it's coming from a very artificial and superficial place where they haven't done the proper healing. And I feel like right now, Leo, you're going to be really working on grieving that person that you fell in love with, or were in love with, or maybe still are in love with, and trying to heal and understand why you were even attracted to someone like that. Now, when we are attracted to toxic partners or toxic people or people with insecure attachment styles, it's typically stemming from a place of childhood trauma, of an insecurity in ourselves that we cannot really recognize at the time, because, you know, hindsight is always 20/20. And there's a great quote. What was it? It was like the ironic tragedy of life is that it only makes sense in reverse, basically. Like, you can only really understand why you're drawn to someone, why you're attracted to someone, if you look at things backwards. In the moment, you can't usually see it very clearly. It's almost like wearing rose-colored glasses for certain people, because they remind you of home, because they feel familiar, because you feel like you know that person. And typically that's stemming from a place of what kind of caregivers you had. Were they toxic? Were they abusive? And what kind of love did you see growing up? And how is that reflecting where you are now and your expectation of love and what that really means to you? But I do feel like there's an opportunity here to move forward, to break a cycle, to break a pattern, to maybe even just be the generational healer for your family. When you're breaking the chains and you're breaking free from a pattern of repeat, you are not only a chosen one, but you are the cycle breaker, and that is a huge responsibility. But it is also very healing on a molecular level as well as a soul level, and everything in between. Like, you're going to heal a lot of things as you go through and alchemize with that magician energy, and you're letting go and releasing like an old version of you that no longer is attracted to that toxicity. Now, how people see you, they see you as this King of Pentacles energy. So this is a very slow energy. It's also a very like sure of yourself and a very almost like a hyper independent energy, especially if you're a female coming into this energy. But this is also like, if you're a man watching this is the masculine provider energy, which is just tapping into your divine masculine, which is great. And we all have divine feminine and we all have divine masculine, so take that as it resonates. And, you know, if this doesn't, if whatever I say in this reading feels like it's not really your energy, it could just be somebody in your energetic field as well. Now, in your hopes and fears, you have the Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. This is a very slow-moving energy of healing. So it's like, maybe you're afraid you're never going to move on from this. Maybe you're afraid it's always going to be chaos and conflict, but there is peace. It is going to be a slow progression. I feel like over the next 9 months, you're really going to shift out of negativity and out of immaturity, and you're really going to move forward, because in the potential outcome here, you have the Nine of Pentacles. That's why I said 9 months, because when you're releasing trauma, when you're healing from toxic relationships and people, it's not always easy to get out of them. It's not easy to let go, especially if there's children involved or legal matters. Like, if you're married to that person, there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of, you know, hoopla to go through, basically, and that can take some time. But I do feel like this is also this Nine of Pentacles energy is about investing in yourself. It's investing in your self-worth, your value, your maybe even just your physical appearance and your lifestyle, and making some changes for yourself. This can also be a card of investing in some sort of job opportunity that could be coming in for you as well. That could be tied to that Ace of Pentacles. But overall, I feel like it's a very positive move forward, but I feel like it's not come without its struggles. It's like, you know, anything worth having is going to be a little bit difficult. I was just watching a movie yesterday, and it was like a Latin quote about victory is sweeter after difficulty, or something like that, which, you know, when you're in the difficult parts, that's not really a very pleasant statement to make. So take that as it resonates. Now I'm going to read the oracle cards for you. They are very cohesive with the message, but it's just kind of the energy I have for you right now, Leo. It's just kind of just like a tired energy. It's just like, come on, like, can I move forward yet? And I just don't feel like it's going to be a fast-paced thing, because you have the Release card. This is tied to the death, the ego death of some sort, perhaps. or the death of the relationship or friendship or both. And then that's also tied to your crown chakra, which is your connection to your higher self. So this is divinely guided to help you connect to your highest, best timeline. And then you have building blocks, which is number 28. So the number 28 or might be a significant day or an age. But these building blocks are basically collapse, like you've collapsed something that was built on a faulty foundation because you have the tower, and then the building blocks is like starting over new because you're wanting to build something that's actually going to be stable and long term. Now, the Army card is here from the I Ching deck. This is number 7. When I saw this immediately, I'm an intuitive reader, so sometimes I go by the messages on the card, and sometimes I go with what my gut is telling me. And when I saw this card, it's like I automatically thought of like the flying monkeys. So a lot of people might be trying to convince you that you're wrong about something that you really, really know what happened. So don't doubt yourself just because people are trying to guilt you or manipulate you or fear you into believing something that isn't true. I do feel like you're really following your gut at this point because it's a brutal awakening, but it's also being very honest with yourself. And that is growth. Now, the next card you have is evolution. You realize that obstacles are merely lessons on your path to love. So evolution cannot happen without involution. Involution is when we do that self-work, that self-healing, that self-growth, and then that evolution happens on the outside. That's when we change our frequency, when we vibrate higher, when we come from a place of positive authenticity, of love. When we vibrate at those frequencies, we are going to naturally attract more people on that same level. Now you have the third eye intuition card that says harness. It says think about what you want and ask yourself, what do I really want? And allow your answers to float forward rather than the usual story you tell yourself. Look out for sudden insights. So make sure you're looking out for synchronicities, angel numbers, those sorts of things. Pay attention to your dreams. That's very important too, usually. And then you have the communication is key moon oracle card, new moon and Gemini. You might be dealing with a Gemini here, Leo, or you have a lot of Gemini in your chart. And then you have the feather card. I haven't seen this one in a while, so this is kind of cool. I feel like feathers are very important. So if you see a feather or find a feather, pick it up, take it with you. You know, obviously be sanitary about it, but like I usually keep them if I find them because they're typically some sort of spirit message, and you can usually Google to see what it means for you, or the type of bird that it comes from. So it says, be honest with yourself. There is somewhere in your life where you haven't been upfront. And maybe a lot of the times when we find ourselves in heartbreaking situations or toxic relationships, it's like we can't really see the role that we played initially when especially when someone's cheated on us. We always feel like, well, I'm the victim here, like they cheated on me, but we may have missed the red flags along the way. So like, you know, if you were more aligned in yourself, you might have seen and recognized and then taken corrective action to remove yourself from a situation that was not serving you. And I'm not blaming anyone for someone else's actions at all. That's not where I'm coming from here. I'm stating like sometimes there are big red flags that we're oblivious to because we have, you know, these rose-colored glasses on. We have on these lenses of love for someone, and we maybe are naive or a bit foolish in thinking like that person would never hurt me, that person would never do that, like why would anybody do that? And sometimes we don't really see someone for who they truly are. We see them as we want them to be, and that can be a little misguided. And anyone who takes advantage of someone's naivete or anything like that is just really a cruel person, and it shows how they feel about themselves, because what they do and how they manipulate and gaslight and maybe belittle or degrade someone's experience or invalidate it, that's a reflection of their own insecurities, and it's not a good person. So, you know, you're not losing anything by letting someone go who is cheating. Now you have Alethea card here. This is a nice card to see because it's like not everything is black and white always. there is a gray area, and it depends on your level of self-worth and self-value for what it is that you're going to put up with in a relationship. And when you don't know what that is, people will cross and blur those lines for you. So you have to set up, what's good for you, what's bad for you, and that's based on your morality, your ethics. And sometimes people try to manipulate you into thinking that you have to have the same ethics and morals as them in order to be in that relationship. And coercion and control is not love. So just remember that as you go into this next chapter and as you release this pain from the past, that anyone who's coming from a place of control that's not a place of love. And you can't have, those two cannot coexist simultaneously in a relationship. So someone probably had to make a choice whether they wanted to control you or whether they wanted to love you. And when they chose control, that's when they lost you, essentially. Or vice versa. Now, the last card I have here for you, Leo, is another one from my other moon oracle deck. It says, my world has an abundance of love, trust, and compassion. For whatever reason, I was just thinking of like the Black Hole Sun song, so you might want to check that out. But your world does have an abundance of love, trust, and compassion, because even though, you maybe have picked someone who wasn't a great partner, I do feel like you are wise enough and having enough clarity now to see that sort of situation, that type of relationship can never last. And no matter what people say, you're going to make the right decision that's best for you. So that's a very positive, independent energy that I like to see here for you, Leo. So hopefully this video helped. If it did, please smash the like button. It helps my channel grow. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for taking the time. If you feel guided, you can book a one-on-one coaching session with me on my website. You can find the description and the link you can find the link in the description box below. And you can also book a tarot reading with me there if you feel guided to do that. So thanks for being here. Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.